Today we are doing 8.7, which is the last section in Chapter 8, and it's more applications with percent, and today we're going to be focusing on interest. The first definition that we need to get down is interest, and interest is two things. The first thing that it can be is it's what you pay when you borrow money. So, for example, if you need to borrow money for college or to buy a car, you are going to pay money to the bank on whatever you take from them or use from them. You also can get interest or get money when you deposit money into a savings account in your bank. The other definition that we need to get down is simple interest, and this is what we're going to focus on today, and this is one type of fee that's paid for using money. And the equation that you're going to use to find interest is I, where I represents your simple interest, equals the principal rate or the amount borrowed times your rate, which is going to be your percent, times the time. So however long you have, and this is normally in years. So this is the equation that we are going to use for all of the examples, and what you need to have down and star it, circle it, highlight it so that you have it. First example, it says Sam borrowed $13,500 from his brother-in-law for 4 years at an annual simple interest rate of 6% to buy a car. How much interest will he pay if he pays the entire loan off at the end of the 4th year? So this seems overwhelming, but we're going to be using that formula of simple interest equals your principal times your rate times your time. So what you need to do is you start by identifying your simple interest, your principal or the amount that you have, to the total amount, your rate, and your time. So I know that my principal amount is $13,500. The rate is 6%, and we always want to put this as a decimal, so 6% as a decimal is 0.06. And I have this for 4 years. I don't know what the interest is, so that's what I'm solving for. So I'm going to say I, or my simple interest, equals $13,500 times 0.06 times 4. And you can use your calculator, and you're just going to multiply those three numbers together. And when you do that, you get 3,240. So that's how much interest was made. So the second question is, what is the total amount he will have to repay? Well, he has to repay, or he has to pay the $13,500. And he also has to pay that interest, which we just found is 3,240. So we have to add those two together. So this is the total amount. When you add these together, you get $16,740, which is actually pretty cheap for a car. Let's try another one. This one says Tony invested $3,000 in a mutual fund at a yearly rate of 5%. He earned $525 in interest. How long was the money invested? Again, start by identifying those four main parts. So it says he invested $3,000. That's your principal or your starting rate that you put in at a yearly rate of 5%. Again, you need to make that 5% be a decimal. So 5% as a decimal is 0.05. And I tell you that your interest is $525. So in this example, we are solving for time. So we're going to plug in everything that we know. We have 525, because that's the I, equals 3,000 times the rate, which is 0.05, times the time. So we can simplify this side, the right side of my equal sign. So let's rewrite this as 525 equals. Using your calculator, find out what 3,000 times 0.05 is. You should have gotten 150 t. Now we just need to solve for t. So we're going to divide both sides by 150. so that the right cancels out, and we're left with t equals 3.5, and this is in years, so it's going to take 3.5 years. Alright, I want you to pause the video, read it, and see if you can figure out where you're going to put all 4 of your numbers when you plug in your I, your principal, your rate, and your time. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, after reading the question, it says Rebecca's grandma deposited $2,000 into a savings account as a college fund. How much will Rebecca have in this account after 3 years at a yearly simple interest rate of 2.5%? Well, I know that my principal rate is $2,000. That's how much was invested. They tell me 3 years, which represents my time. And I have my rate of 2.5%. And I need to figure out what that is a decimal, and I would have to move it 2 spots to the left, so that's 0.025. And they're asking us how much interest are we getting on this. So now see if you can plug it into that initial equation that we got and solve it. What you should have done is you should have said I equals 2,000 times 0.025 times 3. Multiply those all together, and your interest rate is $150. But it's asking how much will she have in her account. Since she deposited this into her account, she has $2,000 in her account, and now she has another $150. So you have to add those two together. So in her account, she has $2,150. Last example. See if you can do this whole problem on your own. Go ahead and pause it and then restart it when you have your answer. Okay, it says Amy borrowed $5,000 for 5 years at a simple interest rate to pay for her college classes. If Amy repaid a total of $6,187.50, at what interest rate did she borrow the money? Now this one's got a little bit of a working backwards. This is her total, so this is like in that last example where we had to add our 2 numbers. First we have to subtract, because this is where our end is, and we have to figure out what our interest is. So when we subtract those 2, that equals 1,187.50, which represents the interest that we have accumulated over the 5 years. And we know that we initially put in $5,000, and we know that we're doing this for 5 years. So our rate is what we are trying to figure out. So if I put this into my equation, 1,187.50 equals 5,000 times 5 times R. So I'm going to simplify the right side of that equation to make it say 25,000 R. I then need to divide both sides by 25,000. Now if you notice this, our bigger number's on top here, so we should get a decimal, and you get 0.0475. This is representing our rate, which needs to be a decimal. So remember, you can just move this over 2 spots or multiply that number by 100. So your rate is 4.75%. All right, shout out to my 7th period class. Thanks for being awesome every single day. Please do the exit slip now. See you on Monday.